Hey everyone, this is Chris and Sandy Benton with the Chris and Sandy Show, where we get up close and personal with some amazing guests throughout the entertainment industry. And today, like I said, every episode, got a great one for you. Who do we have?
We have Alondra Delgado with us today. She is an actress, writer, author, and producer. You can catch her in the CW football drama All American and recurring as Monica on the hit FX series Mayans MC. She has also recently released a self published book of poems, and she will star as the lead in the upcoming film Safe House.
And we're excited to have her on the show. So welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Hi, guys. Thank you for having me.
You always like to start the show out kind of same way. Last few years been rough for a lot of people, but especially entertainment.
Yes.
So how has all this affected you, and what have you done to maneuver through this, as it looks like we're on the other side of it?
Yeah. Well, honestly, I think all actors have just gotten like very good in camera and lighting work because now most of the auditions are just self tapes. And that was something that was not like super normal before
Oh,
the
wow.
pandemic. Yeah. So now, like, I had to invest obviously money on lights, background, like camera, and all those stuff because most of the time, all of the auditions are just self tapes. So I created a little studio that I can just put every day, take it off. And luckily, one of my best friends, she's an actress as well. She's my neighbor. She lives in the same complex. So we just like use each other. She's like, "Oh, can you read lines for me?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm coming downstairs." Or if not, she comes upstairs.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So
And it's almost like a catch-22 now, because now, although it's kind of easier because you can just do what you need to do through the tapes, but now everybody is your competition. It's not just LA.
Yes.
Now you're competing with the world instead of just local.
Correct. Yeah, it's a lot more. I have a friend that she moved. She's from Puerto Rico, but she even moved back. She's like, "Well, there's no point of me being over here. I can just do the auditions for Puerto Rico and then fly out." I'm like, "That's true. Yeah, a lot has changed, definitely. Yeah."
Like for us, we launched this show January of 2020, so a couple months before everything happened. And our original plan was maybe 100 interviews first year. Thought if we could do that, be a great foundation, and then everything gets shut down. And as I'm watching it, I told Sandy, I was like, this might be a blessing for us because now everybody has time to talk.
Yeah.
And with a brand new show. So we reached out to a lot of people in 2020. And instead of doing 100 interviews, we did 300 that year.
Oh,
And
wow.
we're at about 600 now.
yeah.
Wow.
So it's
Yeah,
been,
I've been like trying to like look for other things that I can do, and that's when like I decided, oh, like let me focus like on writing as well because there was a time that we all had so much free time on our hands that it was a nice time to just practice other things that you never had the time to do.
now a lot of people would ask, when did you know you wanted to become an actress? But I like to go deeper than that. When did it click for you that that could be a career for you?
Well, I've been acting since I was very early, very young. I think when I was 4, I started to do theater, and when I was 7 years old, I did my first feature film.
Oh, wow.
And obviously, I was a kid, so I was young, but it was just a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun for me. I remember the first time I was just telling my parents that I loved it. So every single year, I would do like a new movie as a kid. And then I think when I was in high school, um, I love to study. I'm a nerd. So I was like planning on like even be a lawyer or a doctor. But then I was like, you know what? Like I've been doing this for so long and it's what I love. So when it was the time to like start applying for schools, something like just clicked on me and I was like, no, I don't want to do any of that. I really just want to follow what I've been doing and just try to make a career out of it. And I
Wow.
decided to start applying for schools in California.
I love that because a lot of people are, their parents and friends and guidance counselors always try to push for, well, you got to do this, 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 this.
Yeah.
And it's never about, oh, follow that passion. But I think it should be, it always,
Yes.
if nothing else, at least the first few years out of high school, follow the passion. At least see if it's something you can do.
Yeah, no, definitely. I have family members who were like, "No, you're so intelligent, Alondra. Like, be a doctor, be a lawyer, be this, be that. Like, acting is not a profession." But I was like, "No, I had to try it and see. Like, if I fail, I fail. But at least I tried it.
Because I remember Gary V recently, he does a lot of the speeches he does, and he talked about that a lot of people have this backwards. In their 20s, they should be doing anything and everything, taking as many risks as they can.
Yeah.
So in your 20s,
that's a good time
you can
to
come
do
back easier in your 20s than you can if you
Yes.
were 40s and 50s taking the risk. So
Yeah.
get it out the
But
way
it's
then.
scary. Yeah. And it's scary too, because now sometimes I was like, well, now I feel like, and it's not, I know it's not too late, but now I feel like it's too late if I would want to like become a doctor and stuff like that. I know people do it, but I'm like, no, now it's too late.
You're too deep anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine not doing what you're doing?
I know. Well, but there's always a possibility to play a doctor in a show. So
There you
hey.
go.
There you go. Yeah, absolutely.
That's like we've had friends that's played football players who they were in high school and got hurt and end up not being able to pursue that career. So now as an actor, they can go back and still play football, but just in a different way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On screen.
On screen, yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of people see the glory in what you do, but they don't see the grind, the sacrifice, the tears, the struggles it takes to make it in entertainment. I always want to talk about that because I think a lot of people sugarcoat it. They think it's easy and it's not. So tell us a little bit about the sacrifices and struggles you've had to go through to even get to where you are today.
Yeah, I think for me personally, I think, as I said, like I started very early. So once I moved out here, like all the credits that I even had in Puerto Rico were nothing, you know? Most of them, I was like starting from zero back again. So I was doing like little short films and stuff like that when I was already like a lead actress in Puerto Rico and feature films and stuff like that. So that was the first like drastic change that I was like, oh, wow, I'm actually started from zero all the way now. And I think as a kid, like you just enjoy it. You don't really like think about the whole process. So I think one of the hardest things of the industry is like facing rejection. Like out of like 100 no's, you get one yes. Like it's crazy. You hear so many no's every single audition. You really think you're gonna get it. You're like, oh my god, I did a great job. You never hear back. No one
And
calls
probably
you.
ones
And
that
like,
you're like, I know I ain't got that, and then you get it.
yes. And it's like it starts obviously getting in your head because it's like, okay, well maybe I'm not that good. Maybe people don't see what I see in me. And it's that like getting used to rejection and like using that rejection as like fuel to be like, no, like I'm gonna get a bigger part. I'm gonna get like it fuels you to get you more inspired and like try harder. But it's definitely a hard process of being like, okay, I'm spending all this time, all this money, and I'm not getting anything in return. I'm not hearing anything. So it's definitely a hard process. Just believing in yourself and just trusting the process and trusting that when it's your time, it's gonna come.
Yeah, because like even for us, we pitch for guests on our show all the time. And I bet I've got it down to a science where I know that every 100 emails I send out will probably book 2 to 5 people.
Yeah.
It's just so much rejection in it because, for different reasons, whether, one thing I've learned as we get bigger and bigger guests is for the bigger guests, it's a timing thing. One is if your show's not big enough. So for some, we don't qualify there. But for ones that are willing to do smaller shows, if they're not promoting something, they're not coming on.
Yeah,
that's true.
And so it's a whole timing thing. So we get, I get probably 100 or 200 rejection emails a month. And like you said, sometimes it's like, are we even what are we doing?
What are we doing wrong?
Yeah.
And it does get frustrating at times, but then you get one where you're like, oh, wow, that just makes up for all the rejections. Speaking of that, what makes all the rejections worth it for you? Tell us about some of the roles you've been in.
Recently the latest one I did was obviously an All-American, and I think that was a role that changed a lot for me because it's a very popular show and I used to watch it. I remember watching season 1 and season 2, so even when I got the audition, I was freaking out. I was like, oh my god, I'm really auditioning for this. So things like that, it's like, okay, it's worth it. Okay, I did that. So that obviously gives you back your like, takes away your self-doubt and all of that, and like it just makes you enjoy the process and like look at everything that you've been through. And my first big role here was a Mayans when I first
Yeah.
moved here, I was still in college. I remember I went to the audition. It was like in Santa Monica, and it was Monica started off like my character did not have any names. It was just like young rebel woman,
Oh wow.
and I was in season one, season two, and then in season three they bumped me up to see guest star, and like they get my character name and
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
everything. So it was a nice process of seeing how sometimes you think something's going to be very little and it turns into something bigger. So it
Mm-hmm.
gives you like the experience of like no matter if you have just one line on set, just give it your all because you never know who's watching. You never know who's going to like your character.
And
So
you can't take rejection personal, because sometimes the rejection is just that you remind the producer of an ex.
yes, as simple as that. You never
Yeah.
know. Sometimes if your character has a family, maybe the family that they already picked doesn't look like you. Maybe you're too short,
Right.
maybe you're too tall. It has everything to do. It's sometimes it's like, yeah, Alondra, it's not you. It's definitely not you. Because sometimes even producers or casting directors already have something in mind. So if they already
Yeah.
thought that
Yeah.
Monica is gonna have blonde hair, they're already set on that. So sometimes
Mm-hmm.
it can be just the hair, honestly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
have you ever been rejected from a role, and then when you see it on TV, you're like, okay, I can see why.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yes. Definitely. Sometimes too, like they say that they want all ethnicities, and then I end up being like, oh, okay, yeah, definitely. They weren't looking for someone Hispanic, you know? That
Yeah.
that's the most that I get most of the time. Sometimes too, I'm like, okay, it might be my accent, you know? I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
so even if it says no accent or yes accent, I always try to like be as clear as possible,
Sure.
obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But it's been a conversation that I've had like with my managers and my agents where they tell me we don't want you to lose the accent. That's who you are and that's like
Yeah.
what makes
Right.
you you. So but most of the times I do sit him down in bed and I'm like, okay, well maybe it is the accent. So it's a lot of things that go through like my mind.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't realize how tough it really is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For again, it's one of them things where you go through all the struggles, and then on top of that, you have social media out there. How do you handle that side of it, where you got trolls now? Where because in our day
Yeah.
you didn't have trolls.
Right.
I mean, you had them, but they were face to face. They weren't.
Yeah.
Now
Not
people can hide behind the
online.
screen.
Mm-hmm.
How do you handle that
Definitely.
side of it?
Like obviously when I booked All American, I think that's where I saw the biggest change in like social media because like I didn't have a lot of followers and then like they started growing a lot like very fast. But
Mm-hmm.
it was crazy because I don't think I was prepared for it. There was a lot of people who were loving me and my character, but there was a lot of people who were hating it. And
Wow.
Oh
it's just
wow.
like waking up every morning to like just people saying like rude things. And I know like obviously you can take it personal. Like and I have my
Yeah.
mom be like,
Yeah.
Alondra, don't take it personal. But like when it's the first time, it's impossible not to. It's impossible
Yeah.
not to sit down and like think about those things that people are saying. Like people would just like say like, oh, her accent or her voice is terrible and stuff like that. And it's like, wow, like that's not attacking the character, that's attacking
Yeah.
me. And
Yeah.
it's something
Right.
that I know that
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna have to deal with for the rest of my life because people are gonna like stuff, people are not, and people on social media they don't care. They say whatever they feel, whatever they think, and it's obviously it's a strong process to get used to, and just
Mm-hmm.
understand that like you can't take it personal. It's gonna
And
happen.
and then you got to be
Right.
careful and not become an iconic character, even though that's what you kind of
Yes,
want. But then you become so boxed in because everything else is, oh, we don't have a part for you because they see you as
yes,
like. Can you imagine after with Steve Urkel
Oh, Family Matters.
with
Yeah.
Family Matters? Can you
Mm-hmm.
imagine how hard it was probably after that for him,
yeah.
because he was
No,
Steve
that's
Urkel.
Yeah.
that is very difficult. And there's a lot of actors who are like that, who lose a lot of years because they have to like just wait it off until like people start like forgetting about it. And then when they
Mm-hmm.
come up, it's like, oh my God, it's that guy from this and this. You will always be known as that person.
That's just
Mm-hmm.
crazy
Yeah.
world we live in.
Yeah.
So tell us about the book that you just wrote.
Yes, my book. So I I've always been writing since I was very little. I used to write songs. I don't sing, but I used to write them. And I used to like talk about love as if I knew what it was when I was 8 years old. It was very dramatic. And I think after that, when I first moved out here, I remember I bought a notebook and I was just writing out poems and I would just put them there. And then after I lived here for a couple of years, I started to write in English as well because most of the time it was in Spanish. And then that's just been my way to just let go of things and just express how I feel. Most of them are sad. And then throughout this last like couple years, I was like, you know what, like I want to like I created an Instagram for them. That's the first thing I did. I was like, oh, let me create an Instagram and put them out there so people can read them. And then my mom always used to tell me, no, Alondra, like you should just put them in a book. And I'm like, okay, mom, who's gonna buy the book and stuff like that. But then recently, like 5 months ago, I was like, you know what, like I don't care. Even if 10 people buy the book, it's not about buying the book. It's about like other people reading the poems and like feeling the same thing that I have, or like if they're going through a breakup or stuff like that, at least they can read it and be like, oh, I'm not the only one, or oh, this person is doing this person is feeling that. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna put them together and I'm just gonna put it out there because right now I'm losing more just having them in my computer than like having people read them and like getting touched by them. So that's how I started like the whole process of like doing it. I bought a tablet. I did the own like cover art because I was like, I wanted to be like very, I didn't want it to be perfect because it's my first book and I want it to be very like real and authentic. So that's why I'll draw it myself even though I don't know how to draw. And I started doing everything myself and I was like, it means a lot. It's like my own baby.
Yes. Oh, that's
You know, a
awesome.
lot of people, they see you, but they don't see the team around you. In our opinion, teams never get love.
They don't.
On our show, they get some love. So tell us, take a few moments and just tell us about the team that helps you be who you are.
Yeah, well, I signed up with my managers, I think like a year after I moved here. So I've been with them like
Okay.
6 years now. It's been a while. And I'm always grateful for them because when I first moved out here, yes, I did have a couple of things from Puerto Rico, but I didn't have any sort of credits here in California or in the United States. So they took the risk. They were like, yeah, we do like believe in you. We do like you. And that was like doing like how do they call them? Is it blind emails? I don't know. It's something like that. You just cold emails, maybe. You just
Okay.
send them, yeah. You
Yeah,
just send
cold
a
email.
couple of
Cold
emails
emails.
to see who's gonna like answer and who
Yeah.
wants to see you. And they did. The answers, I went in 3 meetings with them and then they signed me. They
Oh,
helped
wow.
me get my first agency that I got when I first moved here. And then they helped me get a second agency. And yeah, so they're called ESI Network, but there I have Nelson and Garrett. They've been my two guys since I moved here. And they've seen me grow too. They've seen me grow and change and go through life, go through breakups and stuff like that. They've
Oh,
always been
yeah.
there for me. And then right now I have my agents too from DDO, and it's two of them. Um, it's Candace and Anthony. And then other than that, now for whenever I have stuff going on, I always have my PR team, which are two lovely girls too from Cats
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we love
PR.
them.
We
Yes,
love them. They're so
yes.
great.
And it's yeah, like a lot of people don't think about that, but of course, like every time I book something, it's like, oh, we all did it because they're all
Yeah.
working hard, like waking up every morning, seeing like what auditions I fit for and stuff like that, sending emails saying like, yeah, you have to see her, and it's a whole process, you know. Yesterday I was talking to Nelson, and I was like, Nelson, like I want to book something soon, and he's like, yeah, Londra, we got you. We're trying to.
Oh,
It's a whole process, and on top of that, obviously, it's part of my team will always be my mother. Like she was my first manager. Like she was my first
yeah.
everything.
It was
She
your
was the one who
mama,
was
Joe, at
always
that time.
yeah, and she's the only person who's never doubted me for a second.
Wow.
She's always and they moved out here with me too. When I was like, I'm gonna move to California, I want to follow my dreams. My mom was like, we're going right behind you, and they all moved
Oh,
Oh,
here
that's
wow.
too.
amazing. Yeah.
So that support has always been what keeps me like going.
So, outside of the story you just said that she made the move, because that would probably be the number one story, but tell us
Yeah.
a mom story where she went above and beyond for your career, and you're like, wow, she gets that. This is what I want to do.
There's been so many moments. Like I know, like if I'm late for an audition, she has come there, or like she has brought like the clothes in her car. Like I've changed in her car and like go from one audition to the other audition. But that's been something that she's been doing since we were kids. Since I was a kid, she would pick me up in school, and she would lie for me. I would be like, oh, because like I went to like a private Catholic school, and they were very strict into like don't miss days, don't do this. So I would be like, I feel sick, and my mom would be like, oh no, yeah, I'm coming to pick her up. We had planned it already. She would like pick me up. She would be like, okay, change, Alondra. I got you this food, and I will be eating and changing and whatever, and then go to the audition. And then yeah, she did that a lot. She would miss work for it. So yeah, she's always been there
Wow.
24/7. Like
I love
anything I want, anything I can do. Like she's like, yeah, we're doing this.
Love that. Now,
Oh,
speaking of
yeah.
teams and family, we have a third co-host, our
We
little
do.
10-year-old. That
Yes.
we're bringing on to ask you a couple
Oh,
questions. So Sandy's gonna go get him.
Mhm.
okay, perfect.
And
Aw.
while we're waiting on him, what's kind of next for you?
Well, for now, now that I finished my book and it's out there, I've been writing. It was like a novel when I first turned 15. And it's been a novel that I have in my mind for like years, and I haven't like got the time to like sit down and like process it and like write it. So that's something that I definitely want to do. But now I
Oh,
decided
wow.
that instead of being a novel, I kind of want it to be a feature film. It's a story that I really do love, and it fuels me. So I want to do it now before I look too old to play high school. So that's something that I really have in mind. And yeah, and then one of the other movies that's coming out, it's an action film that I'm really excited for people to see.
Definitely love that. So you're staying busy.
Yeah, that's what I try to do. That's something you have to do as well. Always like keep yourself busy, writing something, doing something, filming your short film with your friends, just so you feel like you're still like in the middle of it, and it keeps you inspired to do what you love.
Yeah. Hey, here he comes.
Aw.
Hi, Alondra. So what's your
Hi.
food?
Hi. What's your name?
My name's Christopher.
Christopher. Nice to meet you.
All right. What's your favorite food?
My favorite food, white rice with fried pork chops.
Mm. What's yours?
Mine's pizza.
Oh, yes. What flavor?
Pepperoni sauce and supreme and pineapple.
He's got 4 faves.
Ooh, mine is pepperoni all the way.
Okay, so what's your favorite TV show?
TV show. It's called Cable Girls. It's from Spain.
Ah,
Yes.
what's yours?
Mine is
What's yours?
SpongeBob.
Oh yeah, I love SpongeBob. I haven't
Mm.
seen it in a while actually. Huh.
And they still got them going.
Yeah.
That's probably one of the longest cartoon type
Yeah.
out there, I would imagine.
And very successful.
All right, so what's your favorite movie?
My favorite movie, The Notebook.
Ah,
I
that's
watched
my
it.
wife's favorite.
Oh, I watched it like 14 times. What's yours?
Mine is The Minions.
Okay, yes. I just watched the new one in the movies, and it was very funny.
Yeah, we were visiting Nashville recently, and we saw the new one up there in the theaters.
Yeah, it's
It was
very
his
funny.
first time and our 3-year-old's first time in a movie theater.
Aww.
Because of course, having a little one, we kind of couldn't go, and so we just never really went.
Yeah.
And now that we were like, well, she's 3.5. Well, she was 3 then, just 3 then. Well, but with it being the Minions, we felt like, okay, she might make it. She did just make it at the, I think, very
Okay.
end.
Because it
She-
was a minion.
She got a little cranky a little bit at the very end.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
she
yeah.
did make it.
Aww.
Bye, thanks.
Bye bye. Thank you.
He's been on almost every episode. He loves to be on the show.
Aww.
We try to make it a family affair.
Yeah.
So if you could co-star with any actor or actress, who would it be and what role would you want to play?
Ooh. I would love to be in something with like Meryl Streep. She's just like she's great. And while role, I definitely can play her daughter, but maybe like a young assistant or something like
Okay.
that. But it would just be like an honor to just work with her because it's someone who I've been like watching and like learning from.
Mm-hmm.
What's a TV show that you watch or have watched that you wish you had a role in?
There's so many. But you know what I've been manifesting lately? I would love to be in like a limited series
Uh,
because they're like the ones that are coming out. Like when I saw When They See Us, it was just wow. Like it's a great show, like very strong dramatic characters. And that's what something that I would love. It's not something that you're stuck there forever.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's just a character that's very strong. People see your talent and your like abilities to like do all those things, and it's something that will open a lot of doors. And most of the time limited series have a very strong meaning and strong like message to put out there, and that's something that I would love to do.
Awesome. So, what's been your hardest role to play?
My hardest role to play, um probably I had a short film that that I wrote actually. It was called Bygone,
Mhm.
and I was playing a an alcoholic. And I think that
Wow.
was my just getting into the sense of like I used to prepare for it. It was in college too, so I bought a
Mm-hmm.
flask, and I would put water in the flask. And then every time I was thirsty, I would just grab it. Like teachers knew it was just water, but I would just grab it just to get in the hang of like
Sure.
needing to like grab that from your purse and like needing that to like be in your
Mm-hmm.
body. So
Wow.
I did that for like a month or two, and just getting on the sense of like how it is and like how your body feels and everything. So I think it was one of the hardest characters because I didn't have as much to relate to, and
Oh,
those ones are always the hardest ones to do.
Yeah, I went through 19 years of addictions myself and been sober
Yeah.
14 years now.
Oh, congrats. That's a lot. Yeah. No, no,
It's
no. Obviously, I will pull from like memories that I have, like from like my grandpa and stuff like that. So like that would be difficult, obviously, because it's like opening like wounds that like are
yeah,
closed
yeah.
already.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as like me experiencing like on my whole body, like it was something that I hadn't experienced, so it was difficult adapting to it.
so what's
Mm-hmm.
been your most fun role?
Fun, I think All American. I
Yeah.
just think the
Oh,
fact that
yeah.
like it was something that I used to like watch, and I used to sit down and watch the actors and stuff like that, to finally like being there. It was a lot of fun, and most of us were like around the same age gap. So it was a younger crowd. We had a lot like in common. So it was just fun being on set.
Definitely love that. So, what's your future plans for the next 5 years? Where do you want to be in 5 years?
Ooh, where? Well, I definitely want to be sitting down on the Emmys, being nominated,
Yeah.
obviously. So yeah, I hope that in 5 years I definitely am the series regular in a TV show,
That-
and yeah, and I'm telling stories that people need to hear, and that's something that I want to. I want to be able to, if I'm not auditioning for roles that like have like strong messages, I want to be able to like
Mhm.
start writing my own and saying stories so I can represent like my people and my culture back in Puerto Rico.
Love that.
Oh, love that.
So let's look deeper down the road. Let's say 15 years down the road, you're a success on a grand scale. Whatever that looks like for you, you've made it. What do you hope you never forget along that journey?
I think the whole process of coming here from Puerto Rico, like just everything that I had to go through. And I started off with nothing, just like 13 luggages with me and my family. And just, I
Wow.
hope I don't forget
Mhm.
the sacrifice that it took from moving to Puerto Rico and moving here and just adapting to everything, not having friends, not having my family close by, and just the thought that like I did all of this for for the passion itself. It wasn't for fame, it wasn't for money. It's just because acting has been my passion since I was 7 years old.
Wow.
Oh, wow. And what are some things that inspire you?
Inspire me, my family, and just seeing how happy my grandma gets when she sees me on TV or sees me in a magazine. and I know that like they've been through a lot. So the fact that I can put a smile on their face when I know they're suffering and stuff like that makes me very happy. And it inspires me, the people in Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico is a very small island, and whenever they have someone who makes it big, they get very, very proud and happy. And I would love to be that for them.
Oh, awesome. And what would you like for your legacy to be as an actress? What would you like to be known and remembered for?
I think I want to be known and remembered for, like, now that I started writing, someone who like started like acting and writing, and like through writing has created stories that speak to people, and I can still like act on them and represent those different characters. Because for me, acting is a way to change lives, as dramatic as that sounds. When you're sad, sometimes you go to the movie theater and you watch a comedy and you
Yeah.
come out feeling better. If you're sad,
Mhm.
you go to the movie theater and you see, oh, like the character is going through the same thing. I identify with
Mhm.
him or stuff like that. So I want to inspire others through acting, because storytelling is an art, but it's also like therapy in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you could say anything to your followers, what would you want to tell them?
Um, I think I always say to just believe in yourself, and if you have a talent or passion, like just go for it. Just really work hard for it. Like it's not, obviously it's not sit down and be like, oh, like Steven Spielberg is gonna knock on my door. No, like you actually have to work hard for it, but just do it, because if you don't, you're never gonna know. And at the end of the day, it might be something great, and it might be something that makes you happy.
Definitely love
Yes.
that. So as we close out, I've got a question that I'm going to take it kind of ask it in two different ways. First is, um, if someone what advice would you give that person that wants to do what you do?
Acting.
Yeah.
Um, well, I think the advice would be like to believe in yourself, even though like the whole world might tell you you're not good, or like to just be like very strict on, like, if you believe in it, if you really want to do it, then you have to like be ready for the rejection, and just believe in yourself, because at the end of the day, the only one who has to know that they're good, it's yourself. So once you believe in that, you can just ignore all rejection and just work hard for it, because if you trust the process, it will happen.
Definitely love that. Now, the second
Mhm.
part of that question is, since you've been acting since a young age, what advice would you give that parent who has a child who wants to do what you do?
Well, obviously, I would say, first of all, to be careful, because there's a lot of like people who say, "Oh, I'm a producer, I'm this and that," and like they're just stealing money. So just do your research. Let your kid be a kid as well. Like, because I enjoyed it because I didn't see it as work. I saw it as like, I didn't like sports growing up or anything like that. So like dance and acting was like my my fun thing to do. So just let your kid still be a kid, and if your kid is saying that he really likes it, just like look for options and like give him the chance to just at least try it. Cause you never know. Like it might be something that they're really passionate for, and they can build a career out of it. So definitely it's good to have a balance between just normal things, going to school. My mom was still very strict with my schoolwork and stuff like that. I would be on set reading books and stuff. So just have a balance between both of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Love that advice, because a lot of times parents, when they have that child, and sometimes the parent can try to push that dream out of the child, or sometimes the parent don't know what to do, and so I think
Yeah.
that's great advice.
Yeah.
So tell everybody how they can find you.
You can find me pretty much everywhere in Alondra Delgado. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter and stuff like that, and TikTok. Yeah.
And we
Awesome.
really enjoyed having
We
you on
did.
today, and we
Yes.
definitely look forward to having you back down the road.
Yeah. Thank you guys for having me.
We
It was
enjoyed
our
it, and
pleasure.
thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you guys. Have a good day.
You
You
too.
too. Bye.
Bye bye.